Namo Buddhaya. Welcome back to another video. From today's video, we're going to discuss about one of the major problems that we go through in our mind when it comes to the stress and anxiety. And that is the what if scenarios, the catastrophizing of mind. Now, this state of mind can affect for many people, and they suffer a lot when these kind of thought patterns hit their mind, right? So what if scenarios are like you imagine all the worst case scenarios in your mind, like what if that happened to me, what if everything went wrong, what if they're cheating me, what if the people all around are up to no good. So we expect and we create these scenarios in our mind and we suffer in it. Okay. And our brain is pretty good at creating these scenarios in our mind, right? So that is why we need to learn how to deal with these kind of thoughts when they come into our mind. Not every time we get these kind of thoughts, but when there are certain times that we get these kind of mental states, and it's very painful, and people suffer a lot in these kind of thought patterns. And this is where the Buddhist practice of mindfulness comes in handy, right? In Buddhist practice, we call mindfulness as Sati. Sati is the bringing your mind to this present state and understanding the reality as it is, right? So when you understand the true nature of reality, when you understand that everything, every experience, every mental state has one intrinsic nature, and that is the changing. Every mental state, every experience is subjected to changing, right? But before doing that, there are certain things that we need to understand and we need to think and practice to deal with these kind of catastrophizing thoughts, right? These what if scenarios. The first practice, we need mindfulness to understand this, because we need to catch this thought, right? Without you catching this thought and understanding and realizing this thought, you cannot do anything, right? You cannot deal with anything that you don't understand about. So the first step is to know that you're in a state of the mental state of catastrophizing, right? What if scenarios. So the first step is to understand and challenge your thought, right? How to challenge your thoughts. Now, in this practice, we need mindfulness. We need to catch this thought, right? And understand as it is. And then ask the question from yourself that, is this the reality, or is this just another distortion of my mind about the reality of the life, right? Because the mind and our brain can distort the reality in many ways. It can create many scenarios, but in reality, the problem is very, very little. Right? Sometimes there is no problem. I've seen this a lot of times in mind, that when we don't have much things to worry about, right? When the life goes smoothly, we worry about even about the little things in life. Okay? So that is why first we need to understand, is this reality, or is this another distortion of my mind about the reality? Right? When you understand this, when you come to this present moment and understand what reality is, then you find that there are very few things that we need to worry about, and many things, right? 99% of what we go through is just another distortion of our mind, right? So challenging your thought is very important when you deal with these kinds of mental states. And once you understand the reality, now then you can ask from yourself that, what can I do about it? Is there anything that is under my control that I can take some actions to change this state, right? And then you understand that there are certain things in life that are under your control and that are not under your control, that are out of your control. So then you have to realize that the things that are under your control is totally worth worrying and totally worth taking actions. And the things that are not under your control, we don't have anything to do about it. And also we can't change that state. So what we can do is we can accept it, right? Once you realize the reality, one thing that you can do is to understand what is in your control and what is not in your control. And that is the next thing that you have to do. And once you understand the present state of mind, now you can add a little mindful practice to your life, right? Such as breathing meditation, right? A mindful in-breath and out-breath will help you to relieve your stress. Okay, this is something the Buddha introduced us to do, and Buddha emphasizes to do, to stop the chattering of your mind, to stop this restlessness of your mind. Because once you're in these kind of mental states, one thing that happens to your mind is you become restless. So a mindful breathing practice will help you to relieve the anxiety and relieve the stress from your mind and become more peaceful and calm. And there's another practice that you can do, and this is not directly mentioned in Buddhism, but you can set a time to worry about things, right? So what you have to do when the worryings and when these regrets and these kind of thought patterns come into your mind, say to yourself, okay, wait, there is a time in my day to worry about these things. So wait until that. I will wait until that. And when that time comes, I will do my worrying. I will do my regretting. So what you do, you set an alarm to yourself that I will worry in the future. So then set a maybe time period during the day that you sit down and think, okay, what is there in my mind and in my life to worry about, right? And to check the reality. And then you spend a good time. You don't spend that time worrying and regretting. You spend that time analyzing and not overthinking, but analyzing and realizing about the reality of the life and the present state of life, so that you find there are very few things to worry about in life. And all the other things that our mind has created inside our mind are just nothing but distortions of reality. So these are the few practices that you can add to your life. Whenever you get these kind of thought patterns, practicing these tips will help you to ease up your mental state. So practice this and make your mind peaceful and calm. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever lied to someone? Well, I know what you're thinking about. You will say to me, well, what are you talking about? We all have lied, right? That is the nature of all of us. Yes, it is the common human nature for all of us to lie, right? I got this question from one of the parents who was visiting our monastery. She asked from me, like, my daughter has this serious bad habit that she always lies to me, right? No matter what she does, she never tells the truth. What's the reason for this and how can I stop this? Then I asked from her, have you ever punished your child or scolded or yelled at your child just because she did a bad thing, she did a wrong thing, and she told the truth? She told you what she did. Have you ever done that? Then she said, yes, I have done it many times, that I have scolded and I have punished my child just because she told the truth, right? And I told her, this is the biggest reason why children lie. And this is the biggest reason that people lie, most of the time. People lie because they're afraid of the punishments, right? And also, people lie because they are being punished in the past, even though they told the truth, right? So that is why I always advise for parents and people. No matter who are the people who you're living with, they will do mistakes, they will do wrong things. That is the human nature, right? But make them understand, no matter what bad thing or what wrong thing you did, tell the truth. If you tell the truth, there will be no punishment, there will be no anger in it. If you tell the truth, there will be love, affection, guidance, and understanding. That is what we need to practice, right? People lie because they're afraid of being punished and being afraid of that hurt and pain. And also one of the biggest reasons that people lie is because they're afraid of losing things. Okay? So if we can make an environment for people around us, for our loved ones, that there is this understanding, there is this love and care and guidance, so that they will always tell the truth to you, right? So I want to introduce you to this wonderful practice that we have in monks community, right? Because as monks, right, when we become monks, we get 227 precepts to practice, right? Sometimes these precepts are broken by ourselves, right? Most of the time it is because of lack of mindfulness or lack of awareness, right? Mistakes can happen. If we broke some precept, there is this practice called apatideshana. Apatideshana means if we did a wrong thing, or if we break a precept, what we have to do is we have to go to one of our brother monks and open up it, right? That means tell the mistake that we have done and tell them that I know and I see this mistake as a mistake, and hereafter I am trying my best to be disciplined, right? And the response from the other party is the most wonderful thing, right? The response always will be that I know and I see this mistake in you as a mistake. I understand that you have done a mistake. So from hereafter, you will be forgiven and you will be guided and you will get the help from the monks community to be disciplined, right? And that is what we all need to have in all of our families and people who we are dealing with, right? We need to have that understanding and guidance and love and care. And then people will always be truthful, right? Because people don't understand what are the bad effects and adverse effects of this lying. Most of the time people say, okay, I can say white lies, right? I can say white lies, so it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any bad thing, or it doesn't hurt me. Well, white lies do hurt you, right? Although you said it just because it is a small thing and doesn't hurt anyone, that is the start of a mistake. When you get comfortable with white lies, right, little by little you will get comfortable with big lies. So that is why we should not, that is why the Buddha said, when the Buddha defines that you should stay away from lying, when the Buddha said you should stay away from lying, Buddha never referred to any kind of colors of lie, or white lie, or red lie, or any kind of lie. Buddha said, be truthful, stay away from lying, right? So how can we understand this lying? The lying should be understood that the words that we speak with the intention of fooling someone, right? Putting him in a difficult situation and fooling someone, right? So these kind of words, we should not be spoken, and we should be always truthful, right? Being truthful in the beginning, it will a little bit hurt a little bit. It will be difficult a little bit. But being truthful has many, many benefits, right? So that is why we need to understand that lying is not good in any way, right? No matter it is a white lie or a red lie or any kind of lie, lie is harmful for all of us, right? If we can try to be truthful, if we can live our life in a truthful way, it will give you a huge satisfaction about your life. When you think about your life, how truthful you have lived, then it will give you a good sense of like happiness into your life, okay? So if you can create an environment of understanding, love and care and guidance, so then the people around you will not lie to you, okay? So tell to your children, no matter what you do, tell the truth. If you tell the truth, there will be no punishment, there will be no scolding, and only there will be love, care, and guidance. So keep this little advice in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to introduce you to this basic and simple Buddhist practice. And this practice is known as Sila. Now, the word Sila is a Pali word that we can translate it to English as ethical conduct or virtue. Now, in Buddhism, the Buddha's teachings are always directed to the liberation of mind, or it is the ultimate goal of Buddhism. the liberation of mind from all the sufferings. To achieve this state, Buddha taught us that you should practice 3 practices. First one is Sila, which we are going to discuss today. It is called the ethical conduct. Second one is Samadhi. Samadhi means concentration. And the third one is Panya, or it is known as wisdom in Buddhism. So Sila plays a crucial role in Buddhism and Buddhist practice. So what do you mean by ethical conduct? Ethical conduct helps you to be disciplined from your body and from your words. Okay? So once you become disciplined from your body and from your words, then normally your mind will be disciplined. So these are coexisting. Okay? That means these practices help each other. Okay? Once you become disciplined with your mind, you can be disciplined from your body and from your words. Or if you become disciplined from your body and words, normally, automatically it happens that your mind will be disciplined. So that is why the Buddha introduced us these ethical conducts or practice of virtues in Buddhism. Now, basically, Buddha taught us that we need to practice 5 precepts. Okay, these are 5 guidelines that Buddha taught us to practice in daily life. Now, for someone, you may feel like they are a set of rules, but in reality, Buddha never imposed rules on anyone. Okay, these are guidelines, and these are the things that Buddha teaches us to practice because Buddha saw that there are disadvantages if you break these guidelines. For an example, the first practice of Sila is to abstain from killing beings. Okay, so when you kill animals, there are so many disadvantages that comes to your life, and also you acquire a bad karma because your actions and your intentions are unwholesome. Once you kill animals, kill living beings, your intentions are unwholesome. So through unwholesome intentions and actions, what will happen? You will gain bad karma, and that bad karma will lead to suffering in one's life. And that is why Buddha said there are disadvantages and there are bad consequences when you do these things. Okay, when you kill animals, when you steal, there are disadvantages that comes to your life. So as beings who likes to be happy in your life, okay, in your personal life, if you like happiness, then stay away from these bad deeds or unwholesome deeds. So abstaining from these unwholesome deeds is known as precepts in Buddhism, or Sila, or virtue in Buddhism. Okay? So there are mainly 5 precepts that we all need to practice. The first one is abstaining from killing beings, staying away from harming anyone's life. Okay, first one. The second practice is abstaining from stealing, abstaining from taking anyone's possessions without permission. Okay, without asking. That is an unwholesome deed, and that has many bad consequences. Okay, people have to suffer if they do that. Second one is, Buddha said, abstain or stay away from sexual misconduct. Okay, because when you engage in sexual misconduct, that leads to many bad consequences in your relationships. Okay, so Buddha said, stay away from sexual misconduct. Third one is abstain from or stay away from lying. Okay, when you lie, you break the trust of people. Once you break the trust, there are many problems in your life. Okay, there will be many problems in your life. So Buddha said that stay away from lying. And as the final precept, Buddha said that stay away from intoxicating yourself. Stay away from using drugs and other intoxicants. Okay, because that leads to a lot of sufferings in your life. So these are the main and basic Buddhist practice, or Sila, or precepts, that all the Buddhists practice in all around the world. Okay, so basically these precepts or these virtues helps you to develop a better life and a happy life without regrets. Once monk Ananda asked from the Buddha, what is the purpose of practicing ethical conduct? Then the Buddha said, you should practice ethical conduct
to stay away from regret and remorse in your life. Now, if you look at these things, if you look at these 5 precepts, killing, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from telling lies, abstaining from using intoxicants, if you do these things, what will happen? At the end of this deed, there will be nothing but the regret. Okay? You end up regretting yourself, like, why did I do that? Okay? So Buddha said that that is one of the major harms to your life, to your spiritual life, for someone who is engaged and for someone who is seeking the peacefulness in your life. So Buddha said, practice a virtuous life and a clean and a pure life to be happy inside. Once you know that you are happy and you are clean and pure in your mind, in your character, then it will give you a big happiness to your life. So that is why we need to practice these virtues. Okay, that is the purpose of Sila. So understand this simple Buddhist practice and try to practice these precepts in your life. The sun rises from the east, and without stopping, it moves towards the west, and it sets in the evening. It is also like our life. We were born to this world, and from that day onwards, without stopping, we are moving towards the death. You and I are not dead yet, but we are dying without stopping. So today, let's talk about this important topic that many people doesn't like to talk about, the death. Well, most of us are scared of death. When you're in your families, when you're in your family with your family members, if you talk about death, what will happen? They will say that they will be offended, first of all, and they will say, no, you should not talk about death. Don't say that. So for ages and ages, death has been considered as something negative, something that is pessimistic, or something that people think that it is making our life very sad and sorrow and suffering. But in fact, the death is a very good teacher for all of us. And that is why the Buddha said, think about the death. Do not dodge that idea. Once our great teacher Supreme Buddha said, whether you are a male or a female, or a normal person, or a monk, or whoever you are, you have to think that you are a dying person. You are mortal and you are not escaped from death. That is what Buddha said. Why we should think about death? Why we should concentrate on our death? Well, is it making our life suffering, or is it make our life very negative? No. It is not the death that makes our life suffering or negative. It is the perspective that we are holding on to death makes us negative. So remember, we all should concentrate on our death and think about it. Always we have to think that I am a dying person. Today, I can face the death. There are many chances for that. So when we think about that, Buddha said, it says and it tells you, the death tells you that, hey, you have an expire date. You're not going to live forever on this world. No? You have a little time on this earth. So before you meet your death, you have to be a good person. You have to cultivate more good qualities in your life. You have to spread the love and affection and compassion towards this world, because that is why we are here for. So in this limited time, we have to do that. We have to cultivate more good qualities in our life, right? We have to be a good person to this world, because that will leave beautiful memories in the people's hearts. The Buddha said that people are intoxicated with their life, right? People think that they are not going to die. We often do not feel that we are going to die, do we? No. We think that we are going to live for the next day and to the next day. We have so many plans in our life, right? But from a split second, within a split second, everything can change. Okay? So that is why Buddha said, people are intoxicated with life, and when they are intoxicated with life, what happens to you? You tend to do, and you are going to do the bad things or evil things from your body, from your speech, and from your mind. But if a person who is reminding his death, if a person who is reminding that to himself that I'm going to die one day, he knows that at any time he can die, right? So he knows that I have a little time on this earth, so before I meet my death, I have to add more good qualities to my life. So that is what the death teaches us. So do not be afraid to death. Why? Because we all face the death one day, in one way or another. No one can escape it. No one can run away from it. So that is a reality. So why not we think about it and make our minds strong to face that with a happy mind, in a successful way. So that is why the Buddha said to concentrate on death. So whenever you are possible, and every morning, think that today I might die. So if I'm going to die today, what are the things that I should do? I should give more love to my people around me. I should help them. Because at the end, these materialistic things that you are holding onto is not going to help you. Only the good qualities will help you on your way. So think about the death. Do not be afraid of it. Because when you think about the death, your life will be more and more successful. Keep that in mind. Namo Buddhaya. In our society, there are people with narcissistic ideas. The people with narcissistic ideas are a bit selfish, and also they need attention from the people around them, and they don't have that compassion, and they don't care about other people's feelings. They can do anything to protect their personality being hurt, without being hurt. So they can do anything to protect that. So when we are living our life, we have to deal with such people, right? Sometimes we may find narcissistic people in our family, right? As our partners, life partners. So we have to deal with such people. So how to deal with this problem? First of all, we have to understand about the situation of that person, right? If a person is being narcissist, that means he needs the attention from others, okay? And also, they don't care about others' feelings. They can hurt you at any time, right? They don't care about your feelings. So when you're dealing with such people, the first thing that you have to do and to develop within yourself is the patience, right? When we talk about the patience, Supreme Buddha said you should not be patient out of fear, right? Lot of people talk about patience, and they think that being patient is a weakness, right? If you are being patient out of fear, and that is a weakness. But if you can be patient with the wisdom, by being positive, not being aggressive, not being negative, but if you can be assertive, right? The positive patience, the patience with wisdom, then you will have that ability to deal with people, right? When you are being patient, you will develop the ability of listening to them, right? As the narcissistic person needs the attention from others, if you are listening to their ideas, if you are listening to what they say, then they will start to give a consideration, or they will start to love you, or they will start to like you because you are listening to them. But still you are being patient, and you are not being patient out of fear, and still you are listening to that person, then that person will start to like you, start to be with you. Now, normally when we find narcissistic people, the people with selfishness and people with higher self-esteem, we always try to reject them. Remember, the more we reject such people, the more they will develop their narcissism. They will tighten up their narcissism, because we feed their ego, right? No one likes to be rejected in their life, especially the narcissistic people. They don't like to be rejected. So what you have to do, you need to be patient. You need to listen to them very carefully. Give a big attention. That is the first quality. Number 2, you need to have the kindness within yourself. You need to be kind to yourself as well as to the person who needs your attention, that person, right? If you can be kind to them, right, they will start to love you, and they will start to listen to your ideas. Normally narcissistic people, they don't listen to others' ideas. They think that I don't want any advice from anyone. I'm the superior person. But if you approach them with kindness, if you approach them with patience, if you are not rejecting them, they will start to soften their stubbornness. Normally they are the people who are with hard and stubborn qualities, right? So if you are approaching them with kindness, compassion, listening, patience, then they will start to follow your advice, right? They will start to think twice about your advices, right? So what you have to do is, you have to approach them with kindness. Remember, kindness has the answers for these types of questions, problems, right? Normally we don't choose to be kind. We always try to reject those people. They are the people who needs our help. They are the people who needs our attention, right? If they need our attention, we have to give that. If you give that attention to themselves, then they will start to like you, okay? And also, you need to take time, right? If you need to change that person, if you need to make them feel that this narcissism and the things that the problem that I am having is not a good thing, you need to take time to explain them, right? People doesn't change in one night, within one night, right? It takes time. And also you cannot convince a person through anger or rejection or blaming or scolding to make them change. You cannot do that. People change by themselves, by their own choices. If they made the choice to change themselves, then only they are changing, right? If we try to change themselves, if they are not listening to our ideas, then they will never change. So what you have to do, take time, little by little, one step by one step. You have to approach them with kindness, compassion, and patience. That is a soft approach, not a hard one, okay? And the third quality that you must have within yourself is to admire their values, their good things, right? Normally we have the nature in ourselves to label the people, right? If someone has selfishness within himself, we label that person as a narcissist, right? But he's not a narcissist. He is a person, he is a human which has narcissistic ideas. He's not a narcissist. Now, same goes with other people. If we take a murderer, right, we label that person as a murderer. But he's not a murderer. He is a person who had killed a person, right? The more we label people like that, narcissists, murderers, selfish people, unkind people, like that, if we label the people, if we give the tags to them, right, they will never get out of their problems, their weaknesses. First of all, we need to see the human within that person. In every narcissistic person, there is a human which has good qualities. So you have to see those qualities and admire those qualities. Give a value to them, right? If you're giving value to them and if you're not caring and if you're not caring and if you're ignoring the negative side of that person, and they will always give a good admiration to you, right? So when you are living with a narcissistic person, what you have to do is you have to admire their little qualities, good qualities that they have, right? When you admire them, they will like you. When a person develops the desire for another person, then they will always start to listen to that person, right? Then after that, with the time, if you tell, now you have to get out of this problem, you have to stop being selfish, and you need to start to be kind and compassionate to yourself and to the others, then they will start to listen to your advice, right? So never use anger or resentment, aggression to deal with such people, right? If you are using anger, resentment, hatred to deal with such people, they will never get out of their problems. They will never become changed, right? So approach them in a soft way, in a kind way. You have to help them because they need our help. So when you are dealing with such people, tough people, narcissistic people, right, you have to always use these qualities: patience, kindness, and good listening abilities. You have to take time, right? You have to value and admire their qualities. These are the things that gives the answer for these type of problems in our life. So when you are living your life, develop these qualities within your heart and make your heart a peaceful place and make the hearts of the people around you a peaceful place.